As I record this video, it's a spring day, but it is freezing cold here in the Midwest where I live. There's a beautiful body of water behind me, but to quote Purple Rain, I am not going to purify myself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka because I don't want to get hypothermia. But generally speaking, spending time in nature is something that helps me stay balanced and sane and healthy. And in the following conversation with author and motivational speaker Rishan Andai, we talk about mental health and its importance to BIPOC communities especially. I hope you enjoy, and please in the comments, let me know how you maintain mental health. Yes, I was kind of looking over your Facebook page. So tell me how you got into this work of being an inspirational speaker and a trainer and kind of what you do.
Okay. Well, I'll start a little bit by my background. I'm originally from Eritrea, that's in East Africa. I came to the United States with my family at the age of 6 because there was a war going on between Eritrea and Ethiopia. And so we fled the country. And so that's how I got my start. I learned English for the very first time. We grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then we moved to Columbus, Ohio for my parents was seeking better business opportunities, that kind of thing. They were business owners. And, I've dealt with different things. I attended college. It took me 8 years to graduate from college. I was battling depression, and that took many years to kind of get balanced out with medication and things like that. And so I struggled with the depression for a number of years, but I was never really content. You see, I was never really content, and and that depression had something to do with it. But the speaking and the training, I had a course in college. Now, in college, I had a business course where we would have to get up in front of our classmates, in front of our teacher, and in front of members of the community, and they were judging us on how well we did our presentations.
Wow.
Now,
And
that
which college
very
is this? I'm sorry to interrupt.
this was in high school. I
Oh, in
went
high
to
school.
school in high school in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It was a business program affiliated with Florida A&M University.
Oh, okay.
And man, that first time I got up there, man, so much fear. I never had so much fear. My palms were sweaty. You know, uh, when I was speaking, you couldn't actually hear me. My voice, I was whispering.
Wow.
So this was a 3-year program. By that third year, my self-confidence had improved. You could hear me. And what we were doing was a project on a Fortune 500 company. We would do research. We would ask them for their annual reports, and then we would present on the company. So I believe that that small seed was planted right then and there. That confidence that I had built in a matter of 3 years, that something that had something to do. The seed was planted. Now I was exposed to a lot of opportunities when I was growing up. We heard other motivational speakers, and I was just floored. Some of the speakers we would listen to. So I believe all these experiences kind of shape that. But the depression, it would never leave me alone. I don't mean to say that. I have a mental illness diagnosis, and I'm actually becoming more vocal and talking about this. Is that, as you know, for the Parent Leadership Training Institute, my project is working with young women. I have a youth program right now, so working with young women to combat low self-esteem, depression, suicide prevention, because these are all things that I've dealt with as well. So uh, around 2017, well, let me tell you a little bit about my parents. See, my fourth year of college, I decided to go to the Dominican Republic. And so I went to the Dominican Republic. It was a couple courses. I was set to graduate. Now my trip would be cut short because I had heard some terrible news. I was just asked to come home. They said my dad was sick in the hospital, and I was to come home. So when I came home, I learned of the tragic truth. Now, this was back in 2004. Somebody had actually came in my father's convenience store and did the unthinkable.
Mm.
Yes. So it happened, that happened, and that was a whole grieving process. And I got into drinking heavily. And my book is actually co-authored. There's many stories in here of young women. It's called Untold Stories About Inner Strength, Resilience, and Overcoming Challenges. And so those have been my struggles: the depression, alcohol abuse, losing my father. And but this, when people would ask me, what could you see yourself doing? There was only one thing I would say, and that is public speaker. Now, I've been saying that for 15 years. And in 2017, I said, you know what? It's time to level up. I said, I need to read some books. I need to learn. Before I even knew what personal development was, I started applying it to my life, reading a lot of books. And so I was actually inspired to do a workshop because of the story of, similar to this, where it was a story of people who had overcame obstacles and then where they're at now. So in 2018, I had my first workshop. I was inspired by the idea of inspiring people. And so I had a workshop, I had a number of speakers, and you know, it was something. And that's when I knew that empowerment conferences, people will come out to hear those, to hear the stories of people who have overcame their obstacles, and they're at a different place now, and that's my story. So I did that once, I did it 3 times, I did it 2018, now 2019, I'm getting clarity and I'm saying, you know what, this is my thing. I'm a personal development trainer, teacher, I want to see myself. So 2019, I did all the trainings myself. So 2020, COVID happened. And during that time, I also have youth speaking engagement. I've done that starting in 2017. So I wanted to bring my workshops to the youth in Columbus City schools. And then COVID happened and we took a pause with that. But the speaking, I'm getting practice. I'm getting practice throughout all this. And I've become such an improved speaker over these last years, having my own workshop. And that is my dream, is public speaking. And then now you have motivational speaking, as I never thought about that, but that's what has happened. So I believe that, there's a purpose for all of us. And those experiences kind of shape you, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that love, and it's like, where is this coming from? Because I'm saying to myself, I want to use my voice for impact. The only thing I know is I want to use my voice. And that's what I've been doing, and it's such a beautiful thing because I think we should all pursue what we desire and go after it, And so I'm doing several different things with the business. I am promoting my book. I have so back to 2021, and I said, you know what, we're going to keep this up. And now I have a conference coming up in April, and I just started getting connected with some people, and the majority of these speakers earn 6 figures, 7 figures, and I'm just like, building those connections. And so I've had a few experiences. I've been on a podcast, I've been on a radio show, I just this month I spoke to students virtually at a school in Akron, and that was for bullying. I asked the teacher, what are the issues they're dealing with. So it's really about the connections. You work with one person and they say, hey, I've got a person here. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of it when you step outside of your comfort zone. I had a coach and she was like, I don't think you realize that how much you're doing, you're really stepping out of your comfort zone. And so I'm blessed that I'm able to do what I love, So I have the conferences, and then I have a training development program where if you pay $99 a year, you can receive training from me every single month. So I'm in the self-improvement industry. So the training can be on, my previous training was on forgiveness, how do you forgive and let go, so I read a lot of books, so I'm able to get some of this information from the books. But really, my goal is to also get more speaking engagements. You know what I mean? Not only do I have my book, but I have a story, And that's what I feel is my purpose, to use my voice and to help other people, because we can get into selfishness. It's all about me and what do I have to do to survive. But as you learn, as you hear other speakers, it's all about giving back, right? So yeah, those are the things I'm doing. I'm going to meet with the students tomorrow. We're going to do this is a program for the young males that I'm working on now. It's an 8-week program, and then after they finish, soft skills leadership, and they don't get soft skills training in high school, so we give them a certificate, and boom, they can put this on their resume. They have some experience. So that's what's going on with that part.
When you say soft skills, you mean like showing up on time and the way you present yourself, like in a professional way? Is that what you kind of mean by soft skills?
Yep, those are some of the soft skills. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You really have an amazing and inspiring story. So do you feel like in recent years, we've heard a lot more about mental health and the importance of self-care, especially during the pandemic, when so many people were struggling with, at first being, having to be quarantined and not having as much social contact. Do you feel like there's less of a stigma now to coming out and talking about mental health? We even saw Simone Biles with the Olympics last year, talking about the importance of mental health.
I do. I see a lot of awareness about mental health. I saw the push as a result of COVID. And the sad part about the mental health is this is so connected to suicide. What inspired me to have this project was I worked at a middle school last year, and one of the students made the sad, unfortunate decision to end her life. This was a middle school 15-year-old. And I said to the principal, whatever you need me to do, if you need me to come speak to the students, I'm willing to do that, because this is what I do. And, we talked about it, but once again, there's so much going on, the students aren't in the school. And so we put a pause on that, because he told me he wanted something for the young woman, empowerment sessions for the young woman. Yeah.
As far as public speaking, do you have someone like a role model? There's different people who are known for speaking, like Les Brown and, of course, Oprah Winfrey, probably the most famous talk show host ever. Is there someone who you kind of model yourself after or are inspired by?
Yes. Number one, Eric Thomas. And I feel like my style is similar to his in a way, just because I've always been told I was like serious, you know what I mean? Like serious, you better listen to her, Lisa Nichols. I love Lisa Nichols, very spiritual lady. She can get you with her speaking, and she's actually more transformational, and that's what I aspire to become.
So can you talk more about your book and what inspired you to write the book and what people can get from the book when they read it?
Yeah, so from the book, what they can get is, what we all deal with something, As soon as I entered the school system, I was teased right off the bat. You're African this, you're African that. And so that has actually made an impact on me, that early on you're feeling different, you're feeling, when you're teased, bullied, whatever, all that has an impact on you as you get older. So I thought I was not good enough. You know what I'm saying? I told my dad, like, you can't speak that language out in public. I was actually embarrassed of my culture, my language. And so you deal with things like that. And then, you go through life, we survive, and it's what the most important things is your support circle. Who's in your corner, who's in your corner. If it's not family, somebody out there is a father figure, is a mother figure, is out there, if you're not having that at your home. And so I talk about the mental illness, and what has happened is, as a result of seeking treatment for both mental health and alcohol abuse, my life has completely changed, where before I was really antisocial, I wasn't even speaking to people. I had fear of people. And so as a result of, getting these treatments, being associating with people who are also recovering, and so what happened is some kind of growth occurred. You know what I mean? If you're a spiritual person, that's what we say, God did for me what I couldn't do for myself.
Mm.
Because I never said I want to stop drinking. I never said that. But something happened where the day came when it was enough is enough. And so as a result of me working on myself, improving myself, I mean, I've been blessed. And then the number one blessing is that peace of mind. That's the
Absolutely.
number one blessing. Yes. Mhm.
Do you think one of the things that has become more common throughout the pandemic is like telehealth? Do you think that's an option for people who maybe they're a little bit nervous about seeking treatment, with a psychologist or a counselor, to maybe try some of the apps or the online counseling?
I think that's a great resource because I do believe that with a lot of people who suffer with mental illness, they're resistant, and so I've even experienced that in people in my circle, what has happened with these young people, even college students, there's resistance. And I actually, am teaching about what to signs to look for in your child, because it has come around to my, not my immediate family, but it's come around, and in the family structure. And so I do believe that you should use every resource, parents, loved ones, hey, you don't have to meet, you don't have to see anybody in person, you could just do the online, because at this point, any kind of help is valuable, you know, because what are most people with mental illness doing? They're not talking about their illness, they're stuck, they're closed. I
Mm-hmm.
feel this pain, I just want to get out of this pain, you know what I mean? And so yeah, I think that's telehealth is definitely needed.
Do you think there are cultural stigmas to seeking mental health counseling? I don't know how it is in the Eritrean community, but I know somewhat in the African American community, it can be kind of like looked down upon as, oh, you should just pray your depression away, or you should, talk to a minister, or just talk to your family, or talk to a friend, and you shouldn't air dirty laundry about stuff that happened in your family. Do you think there are cultural issues we need to overcome when it comes to mental health?
Definitely. Even in the Eritrean culture, I think just the Black culture, there's nothing wrong with him. That's her. She's doing that to herself. If she would just get her life together, you know, I've experienced this in my own like a second cousin, I've experienced it in my own family. But once you see that what happens to people with mental illness when they don't get the help, and you see that, and then that's when people come around and say, oh, this is something, this mental illness thing, is there's something to it, because you see this individual is doing great in college, has a lot of friends, on the outside looks, like there's no issue. But then here they come out and they choose to end their life. And then everybody's shocked. And that's when they say, oh, we've got to pay attention to this thing. Yeah.
Do you think it's helpful or not when celebrities come out and talk about mental health? And there was recently, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the young woman's name, the real high profile broadcaster who was a former Miss America or Miss, she was a pageant queen,
Oh, yeah.
who recently committed suicide. Do you think those kind of celebrity mental health issues or mental health high profile cases help bring awareness? Is it helpful or not?
It brings awareness, but I don't know that it could be very helpful. What would be helpful is um, targeting communities, having an outlet for parents to come to speak, uh, signs that they may see in their children, something's not, trainings, that kind of thing. So unfortunately, we will see the news, right? There'll be everybody's talking about mental health. Everybody's talking about it on the news now because of this unfortunate event that has happened to this young lady, unfortunate thing that she decided to do. But then it's all forgotten about. So what's important is what's happening in your neighborhood, in the neighborhoods, in the communities.
Right, right. So can you talk more about your conference that's coming up and how people can get involved if they would like to attend?
Yes. So my website is motivatingdreamers.com. And actually, you can just go to the website on the home page. If you just scroll down, events, our event will pop up, and it's a simple process to just sign up. You put in your email and you're good to go.
Wonderful. And what kinds of topics or issues will you be talking about during the conference?
Yes. So we're people or individuals who are talking about fear, how to let go of fear, how to go after your dreams. One of our speakers, so our conference is actually a business conference on top of that, because they're all business owners. So they're overcoming fear. They're sharing their stories as well. So you would think they're business owners, they're going to talk about business, but no, people want to know how they can change their lives. And that's what these speakers are going to bring to the table. How can you change your life so that you can have the freedom that you want, the financial security that you want, all those types of things. And our speakers will be able to answer that.
Wonderful. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention, or anything I didn't touch on that you wanted to include?
I did like to share with you a little bit more about my father.
Sure.
When we were coming to the United States, when we were on the plane, my dad told me that he was so overjoyed because, he felt relief. He said, now we're safe, we escaped the war. And then he said, the relief came when he said, now my children will have the opportunity for a better education.
Wow.
Now they'll be able to go to college. He was a smart man, and he had that on his mind before we even came to the United States. And unfortunately, he would never get to see any of that. But he's the greatest inspiration for my family, because all his dreams we are achieving, his children are achieving. And so I just wanted to share that piece.
And what was your father's name?
Andai Gabriel. Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Andai Gabriel. I actually did a scholarship in his honor a few years back, and still thinking of maybe a foundation or something in the future. But he ran a convenience store in Columbus, Ohio, on Hudson and Parkwood, and hustling, working more than 12 hours a day at that store, and then, that's part of my story, the homicide, that's something. I gave a speech at a rec center this past summer, and I actually shared that story, because it's part of my story now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if it can deter another student from going down that course, I'll continue to share it.
Well, you're doing really great work and inspiring a lot of people. Can you talk a little bit about the Parent Leadership Institute?
Leadership Training Institute.
Yeah, can you describe what that is in case people want to get involved with that?
Yes, so we're learning about how we can impact children's lives. We're learning what change we can create within structures, even with our government through advocacy. Some of the trainings we're having guest speakers, we've had legislators, we had city council members. So it really is about change. If you want to create change in the community, and if you're a parent, you necessarily don't have to be a parent. You can be a child advocate, and you want to bring something to the community, something maybe the community has not addressed yet, or hasn't come from a different perspective. And so that's what it's about, advocacy.
If you like this video, please leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel.